Hello, hello, hello. Oh, good. I turned my heater on. Just going to wait for a minute. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do my sharing. So let me just do that. It's Sunday night. I'm just sharing to followers on TikTok. Hello, Boss Mama. There we go. Hello, hello. Okay, now we got to share on this channel. All right, this one's easier though. I don't know. There. Hello, hello. I'd have to have some tea. So we're going to be doing the celestial check-in, and I'm going to be doing a reading. So I'm going to do the energy check-in with this deck of cards, and this is a very special deck of cards because I created it. I drew all the pictures. It's a tarot deck, but it's an extra special tarot deck. Hello, hello. How are you? So I'm just going to check in on the energy of the collective. I'm going to shuffle it for a little bit because I've been labeling the backs of the cards. And I've got about half of them done. There's 93 in this extended tarot deck. What I did was I created a 5-element tarot deck. So this includes the ether element. So instead of just having the earth, air, fire, and water, this one also includes ether. Now you can choose to use it with that in it or choose not to. I choose to use it with it. So we'll see what the collective energy is. So I'm glad that it's shuffling up nicely for me right now because it'll give a moment. It'll allow the opportunity for those cards to mix back in. I had them pulled out in in different orders, but we still know like whatever comes out, and that's what's meant to come out. So let's see what the collective energy is currently. We'll check in on Sundays and we'll do a check-in on Wednesdays as well. And then finally, we'll do a check-in on Saturdays because I decided after doing the live global meditation last Saturday, I decided that I'm going to have a global meditation every Saturday at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. 11 a.m. Eastern. Sorry, 1 p.m. No, backwards. 11 a.m. Mountain, 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so that's what I meant by 11 and 1. I'm not doing 2. There's only 1. It'll be at 11 Mountain, 1 Eastern. Okay. Well, that's a good card to come out for the collective. It really is. So all of these images on the cards, I drew them. I drew them in Procreate, and then I took them into Canva so I could print them 3 per page. I printed them off and I glued them to all of the, like to the cardstock, and now I'm labeling them. This deck is really beautiful, and I wish I will find a way to show you some of the images of the deck in the way that they are, because this didn't print them as nicely as what the actual image is. And I think that I'm going to make at least the cards that are done that represent a specific zodiac sign. I think I'll have them available as prints. I may have other ones available as prints as well. We'll see. But I think it's something that could be requested for sure. This deck I'm going to have available as a Kickstarter at some point, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so we're going to check in with the deck and we'll see what the collective energies are. Then we'll check with the celestial briefing and see what the living sky is doing this week. I do not follow traditional mainstream astrology. I go by what the living sky is doing. So wherever the sun actually is where I'm interested. All right, let's see what we have. Now, I'm going to give you a more full meaning of or reading of the cards than what, you know, at some point you get to do it a little more intuitively, a little quicker, but I wanted to just showcase some of the depth of what the book has to offer that goes along with the cards. All right, so the first card that we received for the collective is Death and Rebirth. And I'm just going to bring this up so that you can see it nice and close. I'm on 3 different devices broadcasting. So down here we have 2 TikTok channels, and then up here we have 2 YouTube and a Facebook. Okay, so on those 5 different channels. So this one here is the Death and Rebirth card, which is major arcana. Upright, it talks about transformation, rebirth, shedding old identities, that deep soul evolution. This is Scorpio energy, right? And Scorpio is that very deep transformational energy where it's really digging into the shadows. It wants to reveal the truths because it's only in revealing the truth that you can you can heal the shadow, or you can bring the shadow to light, right? You have to see it. You have to know what it is. So there's also this energy of embracing change, and that there is this end of a cycle that is leading to a new beginning. So Death and Rebirth reminds you that true growth requires surrender. Embrace the fire, let yourself be transformed, and trust that this is not an end. It is a powerful new beginning. Okay, so that's the energy of Death and Rebirth. So this would be an example of the card, of the print that would be available, I guess, that I would have available at the website, because that's one that's a zodiac sign. Okay, so the next card that we received was the Tower. So we've got Death and Rebirth in the Tower, which is a lot of this, you know, this very strong energy. And we're seeing so much of this going on in the collective, right? There's a lot of chaos. We can't fix something if we don't know it doesn't exist, right? If we're not aware of the existence of something, how do we know to change it? So all of this stuff that's being brought to light now, and the chaos that is coming about because of that being brought to light, we need that. We need that so we can reflect upon it and go, wait a second, we don't want this. This isn't the way that we should be living. This isn't the way, you know, this isn't humane. This isn't living in harmony with all life, right? There's many of us that are awakening to unity consciousness, and, you know, we're awakening to the concept that we are all one. And within that being all one, we know that what I do to me harm, you know, if I'm harming me, I'm harming the planet. If I'm harming the planet, I'm harming other people. It's this whole cycle thing, right? It's this everyone being connected. So the Tower is an opportunity for, and sometimes it can be sudden change, and it can be chaos, as this one was talking about, right? Was embracing that, shedding of that moving through that chaos. So this is in the like in the upright position, right? This is the destruction of illusions. This is revelations being brought forward. This is breaking free. It's awakening and forced transformation. And a lot of us are getting that. Many of us had the idea, or we had the knowledge, we had went down all the rabbit holes, we had followed the information. So we knew the stuff that was going on. So we were aware beforehand. But there's a lot of people where this chaos that's going on around the world is what is necessary and required to awaken them. We decided we wanted to pick up the Moon card as well. So this is Pisces. So this would be another one that I would have available as a print. But maybe, like I said, I'll have them all available. Anyway, Pisces, this is the Moon. Okay, so upright, it's talking about intuition, dreams, mystery, the subconscious messages. It's deep emotions, unseen influences, illusions, and spiritual insight. Well, we're in Pisces season still. According to True Sidereal, we will be in Pisces season until I think it's the 17th of April, when it finally becomes Aries season. The sun, if you looked on any live sky app, you would see that the sun will move into Aries around the 17th of April. I have to check for sure though. Anyway, I don't have my chart up of the times, but anyway, it's around the 17th of April. Right now it's still in Pisces. So the moon reminds you that the answers you seek are within. Move beyond fear and illusion and trust the whispers of your soul. The light of the moon is subtle, but it will always lead you home. Okay, so this is the energy that we're moving through with the collective. Okay, so it's time to go within, right? If you need to learn some practices to help to regulate your nervous system, to disconnect from the, the chaos that's out there. Hi, Zito, how are you? Yeah, I don't do that. I don't do that. Okay, so the last card for the collective is the Six of Fire. Okay, so this is triumph and recognition. So victory, success, recognition, celebration, public knowledge, and rising above. Now, you could look at this as a clear sign that you came into my live and asked a question right at the time when I was talking about success, and take that as your message. Okay, that's how you should pick up messages. Okay. Okay, so we've got this victory energy, rising above. So the Six of Fire reminds you that your journey has been seen and honored. Take this moment to celebrate, but also to recognize that your fire is now a guiding force for others. Keep shining, keep leading, and keep rising. Okay, that's all we need to do. Okay. Hey, monkey stuff. How are you? Okay, so this is the check-in with the energy for the collective using my own deck of cards, which are the Etherian Tarot. They're not available anywhere yet, but they will be at some point in time, as well as some of the prints, I think, because I've been asked before for them. Okay, so maybe at the end, after I'm done checking in on the energy celestially for the week ahead, I might save some time at the end to pull individual cards, but right now we're going to check on the energy of the week. We're going to see what those planets are doing, where they're moving. Once I get this to go out of full screen. Escape. There we go. I had to escape out of that. Okay, and I got to move this over here or I'll miss the comments on YouTube and Facebook. And please do comment, tap the screen. It's the way that these systems are. They like it when you tap, tap, tap. So please do. Hi, Marichi. How are you? Buenos dias. All right. So we just had the equinox on the 20th, right? And that was a beautiful moment of balance. And for many people, it doesn't really feel like a dramatic shift. And it feels quieter than expected. And that's because we're not in Aries energy. We're still in Pisces energy. So it's not like it's this big, huge shift of energy where you're all of a sudden on the ground running. It's also because the perception of equinoxes is misunderstood. And it's because this is a moment of realignment. We're looking to balance and find harmony within our lives using the equinox as that guiding moment. What things aren't in alignment for us? And that makes us do things so that we can pull ourselves into alignment. And it doesn't have to be loud. It does not have to arrive with force, and it does not need to demand your attention, although sometimes it does. And that typically has to do with your nervous system and how regulated it is, or what your trauma and triggers are. The more that you are dysregulated, or the more traumas that you haven't dealt with, then the more likely that realignment will be loud, because understanding the things that aren't aligned for you can sometimes come through with conflict. And if you're not regulated, then conflict can become very reactionary, and then you can end up with really interesting results. So what realignment does, though, is it reveals itself in those subtle ways. Sometimes you'll get a pause in momentum. So you kind of sit and ask yourself, well, maybe that's not really aligned with me as much as it used to be. There could be a questioning of direction where you're sitting there thinking, I was about to launch that course, but you know what? I think I'm going to do something differently, whatever it is, right? And there may be a sense that something that you were moving towards isn't quite right. It's not quite aligned for you. Now, it doesn't have to be relationship. It could be your career. It could be maybe you were thinking about moving to a different city or something. Maybe you were thinking about going back to school. It could be any number of things, but whatever the direction is that you were thinking about going in, it just doesn't feel like the right one. And the equinox is not where everything changes. It's just where the system resets. It's the even balance of light and dark. And now in the Northern Hemisphere, we're experiencing more and more light as the days progress. So this is where we bring the field back into balance. And from that balance, the direction begins to become visible. Okay, so we'll know where we're going to head from this moment. We could have some chaos, like I said, in the moments of figuring it all out, depending on how regulated your system is. And then once you make the clarity, you can step forward. And it doesn't necessarily mean that those little chaotic bumps are going to destroy everything completely. It just may shift the direction or shift the relationship or shift the intention or, the long-term goal. And it doesn't necessarily do this perfectly and maybe not even all at once, but it does do it clearly enough that you can start to make small little choices in the direction that you're headed in. So if you've felt a need over the last couple of days to slow down, to reflect, to reassess things, that is integration. That's what you're doing. You're integrating the information that you learned from the equinox. Sorry, there was eclipse season before that. So I've been catching myself wanting to say eclipse again, and it's not, it's the equinox. All right, so we're going to talk about the roll call, and the celestial roll call is where we're just going to go through where the planets are in the alignments right now. So what is the actual living sky doing? And when I mean this, if you grab the Live Sky or Stellarium or one of those apps and you open it up, you're going to see that the sun is in Pisces. You're going to see that Mercury is retrograde in Aquarius. You might not understand that if you haven't been watching the app, because you have to know that it passed Aquarius into Pisces and then came back into Aquarius, and that's how it's retrograde. But you'd also see that Venus is in Pisces, Mars is in Aquarius, and Saturn is in Pisces. The moon in the next week is going to progress from currently in Taurus into Gemini and then into Cancer. So what this tells us is that we're in a very specific kind of field. There is water, there's reflection, and there is review. And there's also a shift happening through the moon that moves us from grounding into thinking and into feeling. So this is not a week for immediate clarity. It is a week for layered understanding. Okay, so we're grounding right now, thinking in the next day too, and then at the end of the week, we'll go into that feeling space. Okay, so what did the equinox actually do? Let's talk about this. So I like to add a teaching segment, sometimes a couple, within every episode that I do with every live. So what the equinox actually did. So there's a common misunderstanding or common expectation, I guess, that something like the equinox should give you answers, right? That something suddenly becomes clear. It's like that expectation that you might have with every new moon, that's an opportunity for manifestation, but that's not always the case. So that's not how these cycles work. What the equinox did not. The equinox doesn't reveal answers. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Does not reveal answers. It reveals imbalances. And it helps you to reset the field. So find out where that harmony lies within your field, within your life. So now we get to see what actually remains when things come back into alignment. And this is where most people become uncomfortable because that's when clarity begins to show what's not working. And so what we're moving through right now is the transition between three phases. One, the revelation of what was shown during the eclipse. Two, stabilization of what the equinox is rebalancing. And then direction. What begins to emerge now? And that direction doesn't come from urgency. It comes from seeing clearly exactly what is true after all that noise settles. Okay, so that's what we're working with, as those energies. Is anyone experiencing that? Am I the only one that's experiencing that little bit of like revelations right now that are, it's bringing some clarity for sure. But clarity doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it reveals things painfully. And sometimes people can be very misunderstanding of other people's, what they're saying or what they're meaning or where they're coming from. And those misunderstandings can really cause a lot of problems. So it's not always comfortable. Is anyone experiencing anything right now with the equinox or with the eclipse and what it revealed that you care to share? All right, I set that on there and let it get warm again. And we'll work on the tea. I have a tickle in my throat. Sorry, I meant we work on the water, on drinking the water. I hope that I can be heard on all the channels. I've been having some microphone issues, and it looks like it's picking it up, but I think you guys are doing okay. All right. So what do we have now as well? We have the moon, and we have to talk about the moon and how it transitions through the week, because the moon is guiding how the integration is going to unfold in your experience. It's not abstract at all. It's going to be felt, because this is the emotional landscape. So we're talking feeling it. So Taurus brings us into the body. It slows everything down. It asks you to stop reaching and to just start noticing things. So what feels stable right now? What feels grounded? And what actually supports you right now? This is where the system actually recalibrates itself physically. It's not mentally, it's physically. So it needs to be within the body, right? And I talk about that in a lot of different ways. I talk about how if we're not doing the actual living out the truth, it's just information, right? In order for it to be embodied, like we have to live it. We have to, in order to make it real, it has to be lived. So if something feels unstable right now, that is important information for you to make note of. So that's what you're meant to be doing, is just making note of, this is making me feel uncomfortable, or this feels unstable, or this doesn't feel aligned anymore. So then we're going to move into the Gemini moon. Now, Gemini is very, very mental energy because it is ruled by air and is very intelligent energy. So this is where the mind begins to activate and people begin trying to understand. They start to analyze. They try to figure things out. And this is usually where people get stuck, right? Because your brain starts going, but the thing never pops. It just goes around and around. And it's usually because you think that you're going to get clarity from thinking, but it doesn't always come from thinking. And a part of it doesn't. It has to come from your body. Sometimes all thinking does is create more noise. So Gemini is useful for perspective, but it's not where the final decisions should be made in a cycle like this. Okay, we want to move into another moon phase. So then we move into Cancer. Like I said, by the end of the week, we're moving into the Cancer moon phase. And this is where things become real, not because they make sense logically, but because they feel aligned. And that's what we want. We want to bring it into the emotional truth. And the emotional truth is often quieter, but far more accurate, and is going to be felt. And if you're not feeling it in your body, then that's something that you need to work on. It's about learning discernment. And you can do that with me at Anshara'El. But this is where our decisions will begin to settle, is around the time of the Cancer moon. And we'll be like, okay, that's the decision that we need to make going forward. So we're going to talk now. I have a teaching stream, and these are little, little sections that I'm putting in each one of the lives so that you get a little extra education. You're not just learning about the energies of the week, but you're also going to learn a little bit about astrology in general. And although I utilize True Sidereal and the Living Sky, and it's still going to apply across to tropical. And if it doesn't, I'll explain where the differences are. So how do planetary cycles repeat in human experiences? One of the most important things to understand is this: the sky does not move randomly, and your life does not unfold randomly either. Cycles repeat, and not in identical ways. I talked about this on the live on Saturday, and it's that spiral where you're moving up. Now you're standing at a level above it and you're seeing the experience again, but it's from a higher state. It's from, I've been through that before. I've had that experience before. Thank you very much. And that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to, when we come back to that same pattern, we're meant to see it and then do something differently to keep evolving. And we'll keep revisiting that pattern until we evolve beyond it to where it's not something that traps us again in some loop. So we go through these cycles. So even though they repeat not in an identical way, you can still see the recognizable rhythm of life. And you will notice the same themes reappearing. Reassessment, correction, clarity, action. Reassessment, correction, clarity, action, again and again. And when you begin to recognize these patterns, you stop reacting to every moment as if it was new, and you start observing it as a part of a larger cycle. And that shift from reaction to observation is where discernment really begins. So it's very, very powerful. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about Mercury retrograde again, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And I don't talk about anything here to inflame or scare or to prey on your emotions. I do not lie for clicks. I don't do the whole clickbait thing. So let's talk about Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is still active. It's retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. So we are still in a phase of review, correction, refinement. This is not a time for forcing direction. It is not a time for rushing decisions, and is not a time for overcommitting to things that are not yet fully clear. Okay, this is a time for us to observe the patterns that are unfolding in our life, to correct the direction that we're going in, and to simplify our thinking. If something feels unclear, then it doesn't mean you're behind. It just gives you the opportunity to review it. It just means that process is unfolding. So until it's clear, let's not step ahead. Let's not make the next, let's not commit to something until it is clear. Okay. All right, so we're going to do this embodiment practice, because I do an embodiment practice on every show, because it's important that we embody the truth, right? It's not real unless it's being lived. All right, so we're going to break this, and we're going to bring this into something practical. We're going to take a moment and write down 3 things. And you don't have to do this if you don't have a pen available or a piece of paper right now. If that's the case, just kind of bookmark this. And we are at how many minutes in the live? We're about a half hour in. You could check about a half hour in on the YouTubes or the Facebook. But anyway, try to remember the questions. They're not terribly difficult. So you're going to write down one thing that feels stable, one thing that feels unclear, and one thing you are trying to force. And then you're going to do something that most people don't do. You're going to pause, and you're going to do nothing with it. You are not going to solve it. You're not going to fix it. You're not going to act on it immediately. You are just writing them down and letting them settle, because clarity often emerges when you stop trying to force it. Okay, so that's your little action to do. All right, so if you're learning to observe these patterns instead of reacting to them, you are welcome in the Temple of Light. And that's my free membership group. We continue the work in that group throughout the week. That's where we take these concepts and begin integrating them into how you actually live. It's a free space. I said that before, but I'll say it again because it bears repeating. It's completely free, and it is designed to give you consistency without pressure. So that's completely free at Anshara'El. You do not need Facebook or TikTok or YouTube or anything to access it. It's a group outside of that. But you can check it out, like I said, at the website, which is linked in my profile. So the equinox did not push you forward. It brought you back into balance. That's all it's doing. And from this balance, the direction is going to begin to emerge. And not all at once, but clearly enough that you no longer need to force it. Okay? Hi, Mariti. So where clarity deepens, direction becomes visible. Continue walking the sky with awareness. How are you doing, Marichi? Would you like a card? Hi, Monkey. Would you like a card, Monkey? These are my very own special cards. I drew every single one of these pictures, and I'm super proud of myself for completing this whole entire project from beginning to end. And it's not the only project I've completed from beginning to end. I have 20 books published now. I have a series called The Unlikely Heroine Chronicles that has 6 books published in it. I have the Luminous Soul series that has 7 books published in it. I have the Jack and Nanny B series, which has 1 book, and I have the book of Charlie and Nanny B, which has, again, 1 book. And I have the story of Jesse, who creates calm spaces. I have some journals and planners and some other stuff. And so I'm super proud of myself. 20 books. 20 books, guys. Oh, yeah. And I'm almost going to celebrate 5 years of running my company. And it has not been easy. I will tell you that. It has been a really, really, really big growing experience. I've helped a lot of people, and that's been very, very rewarding. But the money didn't flow. That was the challenging part. And I kept doing it anyway. I kept doing it regardless. I kept pushing on and pushing on and pushing on and just believing and believing and believing. And I kept doing it and kept doing it. And, I believe so much in what I'm here to do and how I can help people and what I can teach and stuff like that, I know I'm here to teach you who and what you are and how you're meant to live, and to create a lot of cool things along the way, like tarot and oracle cards, or to write books or classes or courses like Christic astrology. I came to create things. You're a creator too. What are you creating? What are you creating, Morichi? What are you creating? What are you creating? I'll look over towards the comments. On TikTok on YouTube or Facebook. What are you creating right now? You're a creator. So what are you creating? What are you creating with your energy? Are you out there creating more love? Are you out there creating more peace? Are you out there creating? What are you creating? You could be even creating things like books and cards and stuff like that too. I hope you're creating an impact, a positive impact in the world. I think there's way more of us that are creating a positive impact than those that are creating a negative impact. I think we just see more of the negative impact shown in TV and on the news because it gets your nervous system all jacked up. And, well, fear sells, drama sells, all that stuff sells, right? And that's all they want to do is sell and get you to be a consumer in all those ways. And I know, here I am peddling my craft and my wares. So in some ways, but yeah. All right. Did you want a card, Marichi? Did you want a card, Denise? They're a very special deck of cards. They're tarot, but they're the Etherean tarot. And what I created was a 5-element tarot deck. So it has a whole entire element added, and that's the ether element. Hence the name, the Etherean Tarot. And it also has one special card that's added to it as well, and that's the Cosmic Key. Nice. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to pull a card for Denise. And I'll read. Oh, wait. Okay. So I'm going to tell you both cards because this one flipped over at first and then this one flipped over at the second. So I'll kind of give you the both of them because I'm going to be generous. But tap the screen, please. Likes matter, unfortunately, on TikTok. And I mean, it matters everywhere. Like if you're watching my live on any stream, it matters that you like or you comment or you share, you interact, right? Like it matters. So I appreciate that. Okay. So the first card that flipped over was the Justice card, and this is Libra energy. Okay. So I'm just going to show that up there. I apologize for sticking my, oh no, there we go. So I go this way. How's that? That's better. And then I'll bring it nice and close here. These do not look as nice as they do in the digital copy because I drew these all in Procreate. So they look much, there's so much depth that's missing in the printing that I did because I just printed these on my home printer. But they are just stunning cards, I will tell you that. Okay, so Justice is the law of divine truth. And upright, it means truth, fairness, karmic balance, accountability, clarity, ethical decisions, and alignment with divine law. Justice reminds you that truth is a force that cannot be escaped. Align with honesty, act with wisdom, and trust that what is meant to be will always find its way. The universe is watching, ensuring balance is always restored. Okay, so something is going to come into balance, and it could have been somewhere where you were wronged recently. It could be like a court case or anything like that. And it could be just in your life in general that there's balance coming in. So the second card that flipped over, and I'm going to give it to you as well, is the Magician. Okay, so I'll bring that up nice and close for you. I'll bring it close for you. Yay! The cards, right? Okay, so this is the Magician. You're going to like this one. Okay. All right. So the Magician, upright, manifestation, mastery, focused intention, using knowledge to create, aligning with divine will, taking action on inspired ideas, and personal empowerment. You are the cosmic architect. The Magician is here to remind you that you are not just a dreamer, you are a creator. Now is the time to step forward with confidence and shape the world with your vision and mastery. The universe responds to those who believe in their power. It's perfect. I think it's the perfect card for you. Oh, I went too far. Way too far. All right, let me see what I wanted else to give you with this card because there's some good stuff in here. So for the Magician, there is within the guidebook that I wrote for my cards, there's a whole bunch of extra stuff on each of the cards, but I'm just going to read this one little part for you. So the guidance for aligning with I showed you the wrong card. I tucked it under. So recognize your ability to shape reality through focused energy and belief. Align your mind, heart, and actions with your highest vision. Take decisive action. Magic happens when effort meets divine flow. Avoid distractions and stay centered in your purpose. Speak and think with clarity. Your words and thoughts are spells. So there you go. I love it. All right. Did you want a card, Marici? If not, I'm going to hop off here. If nobody says yes to a card, otherwise, you're welcome. Follow me if you're not following me already, Denise. And I go live on Wednesdays as well. Definitely, Marici. Okay. And I get a good card for Marici, please. Here. The message. Ooh. All right. So this is the 8 of Air. And I'll show you close here. And then we'll show you close here. And then we'll bring it back down here for Marichi. The Eight of Air is the illusion of restriction. The upright position is feeling trapped, self-doubt, overthinking, external influence, and false restrictions. The Eight of Air serves as a powerful reminder that freedom begins in the mind. The obstacles you face may not be as solid as they appear. Challenge them, shift your perspective, and step into your power. You are not truly trapped. You are ready to soar. How's that? All right, give me a second because I'm going to give you some extra with that. I'm glad I bookmarked my stuff and I put it in a binder. I tried this the other day when I did the global meditation. So on Saturdays at 11 Mountain, 1 Eastern, I'm going to be doing a global meditation. I'll start a little bit early, but I want to start the meditation promptly at 11 and 1. And then we'll do anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, or maybe we'll just get into the habit of doing 11 minutes and we'll go from 1 to 11, or 1, right? We'll stop at that point in time, something like that. We'll figure it out. But I'll be doing that each week. So we'll have 3 lives, at least for a little while. I'm not sure how long I'm going to do the global meditations for, but it's just something I feel aligned to do at this time. So what can I give you extra from your card? Okay, so a ritual for activation for you, right? Nice new beginnings. So what I want you to do, Marichi, is if you're in a position that you can do so, is to close your eyes and visualize the mental cage around you dissolving. Take a deep breath and affirm, I see beyond illusion. I release what holds me back. I walk forward with clarity and confidence. Aww. Oh, that's powerful. Powerful numbers for sure. My heart goes out to you. I can't even imagine. Having 2 sons and 2 grandsons, it's something that I didn't know how I would ever make it through if it happened. So my heart goes out to any mom that has had to experience that, any father, any parent at all that has had to experience that. Birds banging on the door. It's tapping on the log. I made a makeshift holder for a bird feeder, and they're the stick that I have it, the bird feeder hanging off of, they bang on the stick. These little chickadees. Okay, so we know what we're going to do with this week. We know what the energy is. We know what the energy is for the collective. We saw that. We got the death and rebirth card. We had the tower. Sorry, we had the tower card, the death and rebirth. So it was all about these changes and the chaos, and that chaos is what we need because we need to see what's wrong in order to change it. We have the moon coming in, which is asking us to rely on our intuition and, our dreams, our psychic gifts, all of that, to apply that, to listen to our emotions, to feel into our body. And there is an emphasis on doing regulation with your nervous system. And at the end of the day, it's victory. Like that was the last card, was the 6 of fire. And it was speaking all about victory. Aww. Aha. Look at that. How cool is that? See, things always align in those really interesting ways, right? I find that anyway. I have had so many synchronicities that have shown up in groups that I've had and stuff like that. So yeah. Well, I do full readings on true sidereal. I call them Christic astrology readings, but I do natal charts and all of that stuff. You can check out Anshara'El for all kinds of different things. Like I said, I've been in my company is celebrating 5 years this July. So there's lots there. There's groups, there's books, there's mini courses, there's classes, there's all kinds of stuff there. So go check it out. But there's the free Temple of Light where we continue doing more stuff. We deepen the conversation and we deepen the stuff that we explore there. So go check it out because it's completely free. Good night, Dennis. It's very nice to meet you. And it was nice to meet you too, Denise. And thank you, Monkey. I appreciate that. All right. The last thing I wanted to note is that this live, or that because I have 2 of the lives, this live here is at 555 changes. Love you guys. Mwah. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. I will see you back here Wednesday at 6:30 Mountain, 8:30 Eastern. And if you're in another time zone, convert from one of those ones, whichever one's the easiest. So if you're in Toronto or New York, it's 8:30 p.m. If you're in Calgary, Edmonton, Arizona, I think, I don't know, down in those states. Buenas noches. Mwah. Good night. Good night, guys. We're going to get the ding, ding, dings from both of these. Oh, lovely, lovely. I'd come visit. Good night, Denise. Good night, guys.